All right, welcome back, guys, to another conversation with John. We are back to talk about All Her Fault on Peacock with episode two. So let's get right into it. So here we are, episode two. So episode two starts off. We are 5 years ago when Milo was born, and we have Peter and Marissa coming home. So they are brand new parents, right? And so they are struggling with sleeping and all of that. And Peter basically ain't no goddamn help. Marissa is trying to get the baby to sleep. It's difficult for her. She's asking Peter to help her, and he's like, basically, you got it. Like he ain't no damn help. He ain't doing shit. Basically, Marissa's working late at night, and Peter's like, well, why you don't work when the baby's sleeping? And she's basically like, she can't. Like late at night is the only time that she can work. So as they're laying in bed, Peter's like, "Oh, this is the fourth night in the row that the baby's been asleep. Milo's been able to go to sleep." And he was like, "You can do anything. Basically, you can do anything." And in my mind, Marissa rolls over and she's looking like this. It says to me, like, yeah, she knows that her husband is useless as hell, and she, in her heart of hearts, she probably knows that she into be basically a married single parent because this motherfucker is useless as hell. All right, so the next morning, it's still tension in the house because the night before, when basically Peter blamed her for Milo being kidnapped and not checking the number. So it's still tension in the house. She wakes up and she's working on the website to so people can call in and get tips or whatever about I'm about to say hints, clues, or whatever information about Milo being missing. So that morning, Colin comes over and they're talking about what's going on. There hasn't been a ransom call yet, so they really don't know what to do or whatever. But they getting ready to. They have a press conference later on that day, so everybody's getting ready for that. So then we go to Jenny and her family, and Jenny's having a flashback of when Carrie was there, and just Carrie being with Jacob and just everything that's going on with that. And then we jump to present, and Jenny's having a conversation with her husband Richie, and it's just like, okay, well, we don't have no help no more because Carrie done kidnapped Milo, and it's just us. We got to figure this shit out, and we basically got to work together. And again, the theme of this seems to be just these husbands are so fucking useless and goddamn unhelpful. Like she works for like a publisher, and she's like, I have a meeting. We're trying to sell land this account, and I have a meeting today, and I need you to go pick up Milo from school. And Richie's like, well, I can't because I have to do the Quizzix team after school. Like I have to work with them. And then she was like, well, I mean, can't you just cancel it to go pick up Jacob? She's like, well, they need me. Well, damn, Richie, your son needs you too. And he was like, again, basically, well, just figure it out. You're going to have to handle it. Um, and so after that, the police come. Detective Alcarez and the other officer come. I don't remember his name. So they're asking Richie and Jenny questions about Carrie, like, okay, did you call her references? Um, did you call her references to see like what they said about her? And she was like, well, yeah, I did it myself. They seemed like she was nice. She had worked for some good families before. And so the detective was like, well, those numbers were not real. And they was just like, well, they hired actors to pretend to be these families. And I guess the detective was like, well, yeah, basically kind of, yeah. And then Richie was like, well, why did you couldn't blaming Jenny, like you can tell that this was fake when you talk to these people on the phone or whatever. And then so the detective fronting him is like, well, when you talk to him on the phone, could you tell that it was they weren't genuine? He was like, well, no, that's more so Jenny's department. Exactly, because you're useless. You don't do shit. All you do is depend on her to do everything and handle everything, and she's also trying to work and all of that. Same thing with Marissa. Like their husbands are no help. They don't do shit to help them. So that's, I guess, in societies like this and people that have all this money and shit, they depend so heavily on their nannies because their husbands ain't doing shit. Their husbands are clueless on everything that's going on in their households. And so they also asked Richie and Jenny, like, okay, did anything change with Carrie's pattern or routine or anything like that? And then Jenny was like, well, yeah, she asked to be off, and she checked her phone. She asked to be off on the 25th. Where she was going, I don't know, but she just asked to be off. And so they were just like, okay, so they were like, oh, okay. Oh, did I miss something? Wait a minute. Oh no, yeah. Whatever, we'll get back to it. Yeah. So they were she asked to be off on the 25th. So then we jump to who is this? Peter, Marissa, Leah, and Brian going to the courthouse for the press conference. And Peter, in the first look with him, looking useless and helpless and pitiful as always, his hand on his head. And he said, of course, their son is kidnapped, so he is going to be sad. And then, Lord, they see the billboard, missing child from Milo Irvin. And that's when it gets worse. Peter starts just is inconsolable at this point. He starts crying and just sad and whatnot. And Marissa looks over at him, and of course, what does she do? She comforts him. She puts her hand on his back because she's always comforting him. He don't do shit to comfort her, but she's always comforting him because he's just pitiful as the day is long. So that's what I was thinking was happening. So then we jump back to when the detectives leave Jenny and Richie's house. And he was like, you want to also know who else was also off on the 25th? Peter Irvin. So Carrie is nowhere to be found on the 25th. She needed to be off. And Peter is off on the 25th as well. Again, Peter got some shit with him. Like, what's going on? Why you was off on the 25th? So then we jump back to Jenny. She has to take Jacob to school or whatever for drop off since Carrie ain't there. And then she meets the PTA clique on her way leaving or whatever. And they sitting her asking her questions about everything that's going on. And she was like, well, yeah, I went to go see Marissa last night. And they was like shocked, like, girl, why you going over there basically? She's like, you do know that she probably gonna sue your ass because you hired Carrie. And yeah, I would steer clear of her. Like, don't be up over there because she is not your friend. Like, stay the fuck away from them, basically. So then while we jump back to Marissa and Peter and them at the courthouse and they get a phone call, like basically, we have your son. And Marissa's like, what? Y'all have my son? And so it ends up being a prank call. And he was like, oh yeah, we have your son or whatever, and nice ring, and hang up the phone. And so Marissa's like, well, how do they know what kind of ring I have? Like, what does the ring have to do anything about? Because previously when we saw in the car, she put her hand on his shoulder. She had a big ass rock on her finger. So they looked it up and online. There's so many different news articles about them. They have pictures of them at their wedding, and the articles are basically like, oh, these are rich people set this whole thing up, and all of this, that, and the third. And Marissa's like, well, this is not good. Basically, like, because she had the night before she had talked to like a publisher or something like that she knew, and there was basically like the public perception is very important. If the public thinks that we're rich assholes, then they're not going to be willing to help us find Richie. So this isn't good. And so at the same moment, there's some reporters across the lobby at the court, wherever they at the courthouse or whatever, that are recording. And Leah sees them and she starts going off on them. And Peter's like, basically, bitch, calm the fuck down. Like, didn't you just hear Marissa say that public perception is important right now? You can't be going off on these reporters. So Peter goes over there to talk to the reporters to like smooth everything over and calm everything down. And Marissa is just distraught. So she runs out the building and she runs into Jenny as she's running out. And so Jenny sees her and she's like, sees that she's so distraught or whatever, and just like all over the place. And Jenny's like, you need to lay down. You need to lay down. And she's like, well, I got to finish the website for the tip line and stuff like that. And Jenny's like, well, I mean, I can set up a website. Basically, let me help you. Let me help you. So they go into like a conference room or whatever. And Marissa lays down while Jenny is fixing the website. And Marissa's like, she has such bad thoughts in her heads about who Carrie is, like asking Jenny, well, like, tell me about Carrie, like the kind of person that she is. Like, was she ever hurt uh, Jacob, or was she hurt or any of it shown violence or anything like that? And Jenny was like, well, no. So she starts telling Marissa a story about how one day Jacob had hurt himself. He injured his finger some kind of way. And like by the time she got home and she saw Carrie had taken care of it, she had made him a stent for his finger with some popsicle sticks and some, what is that thing called? The pipe cleaners, and made the pipe cleaner to like a little butterfly to make her feel better. So then she was like, well, yeah, this morning the police came to the house and they were asking me and Richie a bunch of questions about Carrie and like had her routine change or anything. And she had was she violent and like her being off on the 25th. And that sparked Marissa, like the 25th, Carrie was was off on the 25th. And she was like, yeah. And so 3 weeks earlier, we go to Marissa and Peter and Milo at the beach, and Marissa is trying to set up a dentist appointment for Milo. And so the dentist schedules the appointment, ironically, for the 25th. And she's like, okay, well, Peter, I need you to take Milo to the dentist appointment because he doesn't want Anna to do it. He wants me or you to be there. And he's like, well, basically, I got a conference that day. I can't do it. Like, bitch, figure it out. This your child. Like, you figure it out. I ain't got nothing to do with it. Again, useless. Like, these husbands are not helpful at all. They put everything on their wives and they don't do shit really to contribute at all. So it's just like, why even have kids if you're not going to be 100% involved? Like, I don't, whatever. So then the police go talk to Anna, and they're asking Anna a bunch of questions about, I think they were asking her about, I forget what they were asking her about Carrie, and had she talked to them or anything, like talk to Carrie or something like that. And through the course, see, Detective Alcaraz, he gonna figure out what's happening because he's very observant and he pays attention to a lot of different shit. Anna ends up bringing up like, yeah, the boys like climbing and whatnot or whatever. And she keeps talking, and Detective Alvarez is like, rewinds the situation. Like, what do you mean he likes climbing? Like, when we was at the school, there's nowhere for them to climb. It's only like swings and stuff like that. So where are you taking the boys to go climbing at? And she was like, well, we go to Lombard Park. And Detective Alvarez pulls it up. Wait, what happened? Yeah. Detective Alvarez pulls it up and it's just like, here? He was like, yeah. And he was like, well, why do y'all go to this park? There's a lot more closer parks to the school than Lombard Park. And she was like, well, the boys like Moe's Mountain Milkshake, this milkshake place that they like. So we go there. We go there and they have milkshakes or whatever. And so they finish questioning her, and then the detective leaves. And the detective, I feel like from they're giving bits and pieces of his life, and it's showing that he's actually a good dad involved in his child's life, because it seems like he has a son, I want to say, that's disabled. And like as they're walking downstairs from Anna's apartment, like his wife calls and like, the son wants you to do something. So he starts tapping and clicking on the phone, whatever the fuck he's doing, I don't know. And so he's engaging involved with his wife as they get ready to leave. So then we go back to Peter, and Peter is talking to Leah and Brian, and they're basically, he asked Brian about taking his medicine or whatever, because he's on some type of medication for his disability. And he's like, well, I don't take it because it makes me feel nauseous. And then Peter's like, well, yeah, it's not your fault. And then he And the way that he said it made like, well, if it's not his fault, then whose fault is it? I feel like it's Peter's fault. Whatever, something happened to Brian, and in the way that Peter said it, it's like he feels guilty, that which is probably why he's taking care of Brian to begin with. And so then he talks to, and Leah starts to apologize. She's like, well, I'm sorry that I was kind of going off on the reporter. He was like, well, no, it's okay. And he told Brian, like, yeah, I need you to take your medicine because I want to feel needed. And Leah, I need you to do crazy stuff because I need to feel needed right now. And it's just like, well, you need to feel needed. Why you didn't need to be feel needed when Marissa needed your help all the time she needed your help, but all of a sudden now you need to feel needed. And so Peter gets a text message that says, let's talk. So he goes outside and talks, and Lord, him and these ugly ass crying faces. So he answers the phone, and they telling him like they have his son or whatever, and you better not tell nobody but God. Um, Basically, and so they need to get some money together. He's like, well, just name your price. So yeah, like name your price. So then we go into what happened next. So then we jump back to Marissa, and she's with with Jenny. And so Marissa calls Peter's office and just like, okay, well, the police are trying to develop a timeline. I'm trying to get, can you tell me about the conference Peter had on the 25th? And his assistant was like, well, no, you must be mistaken. Peter didn't have no conference on the 25th. It was another day. And so at that moment, Marissa is just like, the fuck? So she calls Colin, is like, well, do you think that Peter is having an affair? And Colin is like, no, I don't think he's having an affair. And so Marissa's like, okay, well, just talk to me about something normal or whatever. And so Colin begins to tell her about the them canvassing the neighborhood and all of that. And so that's when Marissa gets a text message from Peter about it's time for the press conference. So they go in there and get ready to have the press conference. Peter goes up first and it's like, well, talking about Milo and like how he is such a good little boy. He's just not learning to read and all that. And Marissa goes up and talks like about how she had a difficult pregnancy and she it was a minute before she could take Milo home and how stressful that was for her. And she finally got him home. She was so happy and she promised to always protect him. So then the reporters start asking questions. And come to find out, so Marissa firm is in trouble. They're in a lot of debt. And she was like, well, I mean, it's normal for a firm to have these kind of debts. And the reporter's like, well, wouldn't the debt be offset from what you gained from your son's kidnapping? Uh, from your son's kidnapping, you talked to a publisher last night. And so that's when her and she gets ready to storm out and she yells, like, this is my son we talking about. Like, you motherfuckers are tripping. Like, why would I want to like use this to gain something? Like, this is my child that we're talking about. So they rush out of there and go into the conference room. And she was like, and Peter's like, well, basically, I knew about it. And she's like, basically, motherfucker, you knew about this and didn't say anything to me? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What's going on? And she was like, okay, well, I mean, Peter was like, well, I mean, the reporters knew that you talked to the publisher, and I was just trying to kill the story. And basically, she had talked to some writer or something about kidnappings and just trying to get some information, which is how she knew about the public perception. So that's all that she was doing. It wasn't anything more to it than that. And then she was like, she asked him, like, are you having an affair? Because you wasn't at your at no conference on the 25th. I don't care if you're having an affair or not. You can have Carrie. I just want my son back. And Peter was like, no, I'm not having an affair. I've never met a woman that would ever make me want to do that. I've never looked at another woman like that before. And so Peter runs up to her in her face, trying to apologize and all of that like that. And he was like, he went to go see a neurosurgeon for Brian. And he didn't want to say anything until he knew what the cost was. And so Detective Alcaraz is sitting there side-eyeing Peter, as I am too, because Peter is full of shit and ain't shit, it seems at this point. Peter has got some shit with him, and it's yet to be determined what that is. So after this, Detective Alcaraz is like, starts questioning Peter, like, okay, so what's kind of going on with you not being where you said you was going to be on the 25th, at this neurosurgeon's office. That's what he said it was going to be. He was like, well, yeah, they can confirm that. And so the detective was just kind of like getting see what's going on, and he was like, okay, so the money that you and Marissa have, like, you got that from like a family money or something like that. He was like, well, no, everything that me and Marissa have, we like work for it ourselves. And so he was just like, um and then like something about Brian working for him, and the detective's like, well, you never said that. It was like, well, yeah, he does work for me. He day trades, because Peter's in commodities, so Brian day trades. He basically pays him to do that, and he lives on the property to have some type of independence. And then they started talking about, then he was like, yeah, because he had Peter was like, he had an accident and that was Leah's fault. Which I think he's lying, because the way that they were interacting, like I said from the beginning, they were sitting in the courthouse, and he was like, well, yeah, it's not your fault. I think the accident was Peter's fault, and he's covering up. I really do think the accident was Peter's fault. And then so the detectives start asking more questions, start talking about Leah. And basically, Leah's an interior designer. Her last job was the project to get Brian's little house on the property ready. And Peter basically subsidizes Leah's life. And the detective's like, so you basically take care of her? He's like, yeah, I mean, just if stuff comes up. He's like, well, what kind of stuff will come up? He's like, well, with Leah, you never know. She's just wild and crazy, and I just got to handle stuff. And so it's just like, interesting. So, um, and yeah, I don't remember if I said it or not, but Leah, he did say that Leah was at fault for the accident that happened to Brian. He basically bankrolls Leah's life. So Marissa and Jenny are on their way home, and there's a billboard that says, can you have it all? And I feel like that is the theme for these women, like trying to figure out, is if you can have it all. Like, can you have the career? Can you have the kids? Can you have the family? And based on what we're seeing, it's like very difficult to have it all, especially when you both of them are one and the same, married to husbands who are MIA and who are not very active in rearing the children. They have to handle everything, and without the nanny's help, it's very difficult because their husbands ain't worth a damn in trying to help them. And so Marissa gets a phone call, and she's just so discombobulated, of course, that she can't really talk. And it's a bakery that called because in a few days it's Milo's birthday, and he wants a mall cake. But Marissa don't know what the fuck that is, because her and Peter were talking about it before. He's like, it tastes like green or some crazy shit that doesn't make sense to Marissa. So she had previously called the bakery to see maybe what they can figure out. And so Jenny was like, no, we don't want anything. And then so Marissa was like, oh, yeah, it's his birthday in a few days, and he wants a mall cake, and I don't really know what that is, but trying to figure it out. And so Jenny was like, well, Jacob likes mall cakes. Well, it's actually a malted milkshake, but I thought it was cute the way that he said it, so I never really corrected him. And so Marissa was like, well, did Carrie ever take the boys to go get milkshakes? She was like, well, I mean, I don't know. I give her like a card to use when she's with Jacob to like get stuff. So they go to this place. So they go to this place called Moe's Malted Milkshakes. So she looks on her credit card transactions to see about the when they went to the milkshake place, and she looked it up, and the total is like $12.56. And Marissa looks up the menu at the milkshake place, and that's only enough for an adult milkshake and a kid's milkshake. And so she's like, well, did Anna ever take Milo there too? And so Marissa has the same thing. She has a credit card that's for Anna to do stuff with Milo. And she looks it up, and she was like, well, she asked Jenny, like, when is the last, what's the time on the transaction for when they went on the 25th? And it was from the screenshot, I guess 3:41. And for Anna, it was 3:20 or whatever. So they just start comparing these dates and times at which they went to the milkshake, and they were always very close in time periods. So clearly Anna and what's the girl name? Carrie knew each other, because they was at the milkshake place several times with the kids. So they clearly knew each other. They clearly knew each other. So then we jump to Carrie. Carrie done put her some contacts in and she done changed her wig and she got Milo. And so Milo was like, well, you look different. Carrie's like, well, yeah, sometimes it's fun to be different. And so then there's a knock at the door. It's the landlord lady, and she tells Milo to go hide. And so she goes to the door, go hide like they've been practicing. And so she goes to the door, and the landlord lady is like, yeah, I mean, I was out of town when you moved in on the 25th, but I do have the extra key that you requested. And Carrie's like, well, yeah, I do have a guest coming or something like that. And the whole time they're talking on the background is the news, and it's Carrie's mugshot. And so I guess the landlady don't really recognize her because of course she's changed her hair and contacts and all that. And it's just like she's leaning, so she's in the doorway. She can see the TV in the background. She's like, "Well, yeah, that's so sad." And so it doesn't register that the person she sees on the news is Carrie. And so that's the end of the episode. So from this episode, it's getting a lot juicier. I'm feeling like, again, Peter got some shit with him because he's lying about his whereabouts. He getting ransom calls and not telling anybody about what's going on. The whole situation with Brian and him being injured, something is going on with that. I feel like it's Peter's fault and not Leah's. And Anna is a liar too, because she knows Carrie more than what she says she knows. So we'll see what's going on in episode 3. Like, comment, all that shit. Let me know what you think. And yeah, until next time, this has been a conversation with John. Peace.